Well, hello. I am Coach Sierra. I am one of the trainers here at Queens of Iron, and I'm here to chat about one of my probably most favorite topic in the whole entire world because I am truly, truly passionate about maintenance. And I also have seen firsthand with so many women the struggles that come with being at maintenance. And so today, what we're going to do is talk about maintenance, which is how to get more toned without dropping your calories, and how the power of maintenance is really going to sculpt and shape your physique. So, are you ready? Let's go. So, I feel like there's a big conflict with maintenance, right? Um, it seems like such a simple topic. You eat more food, you live your life, and boom, everything's hunky dory. But yet, something is still so challenging about maintenance, right? We know deep down this is what we want. This is where we need to go. But there's always still this resistance, right? There's always this place where we're like, hmm, I want this, but this is a little scary. And there's a lot of pieces that come with maintenance. And what I truly believe, now there could definitely be other pieces, but my honest thoughts are the biggest struggle with maintenance is our mindset. And so today we're going to go through and chat about some of the biggest struggles, but then we're also going to talk through, and the second part, more about how we can truly have some actionable tools to help us move through maintenance and really, really crush it and thrive in it. Ooh. So, one of the biggest things I see is we fear what we don't know. And from working with a lot of women, I see this is when we're used to living in a diet and almost even that deficit mindset, it can be a lot of fear, right? Because we really do understand what a deficit is. We understand low calories, we understand doing cardio, we understand lifting weights, we understand how to get smaller or how to get leaner. But when it comes to maintenance, it's almost like this uncharted territory. And I want you to even step back because when was the last time you actually spent time in maintenance, right? And I don't mean maintenance and you were gaining weight because then we were probably in a surplus, but I mean maintenance. Was it 1 month? Did you stay there 1 month, 2 months, maybe three? Or did you stay there for a good chunk of time? And I ask because sometimes we get into maintenance and all of a sudden it's like, it's time to cut again, right? And that is actually hurting our physique a lot more than you probably even realize. And so the fear of unknown, because I say it's the fear of the unknown because a lot of women don't spend time in maintenance. Like I'm asking, when was the last time you did that and spent actual time there? And then, of course, this fear of losing control or gaining weight post diet. And most likely you've had maybe an actual incident where you've reversed and you've gone to maintenance and then you're like, I'm not maintaining, I'm actually gaining. There's something there that we can always dig into. But at the end of the day, that piece for us can get really, really messy, right? It's like, I don't want to lose all my progress. I don't want to gain weight. I want to keep this result that I worked so hard for. We do too, right? We all want that. And then, of course, there's maintenance can just feel like this directionless motion. It's like, what are we doing here? Because it's like a fat loss phase is so clear. We're losing the fat. We're like getting to see our muscles and we're getting to see the shape underneath and we're getting to feel really lean and confident. And then it's like, well, maintenance, right? And it can almost lead us into this like all or nothing mindset. And again, it goes back to fear. Like what we don't understand and don't know or never gone through and really done well, it's like maintenance can feel really scary and uncertain, right? And this is what our brains tend to think. Fat loss is progress, right? Fat loss is progress. Maintenance equals stagnation. And that, even in our mind, right? If that is our mindset, why would we ever Why would we ever want to live there? And so when we look at like fat loss is like a good thing, maintenance is bad. That's almost what we're saying here, even without saying those exact words. And it's like, this is what our brains are thinking. And so I share this because later I want us to address this, and we are. But this is probably what maybe your brain is thinking right now. Like, whenever I go into maintenance, nothing's happening, right? There's no direction. I'm just here. And it's like, no, there's so much more. There's so much more. Now, oh my gosh, the fear of eating more food. This is so common, right? We've almost been trained as women to be afraid of food. We've almost been misinformed over the years, like eating food is, and eating more food is actually not good for us. Or like it's going to, like right here, more food equals weight gain. And that can seem so scary, again, especially if you've had a bad like reverse, or if you've never actually reversed out of a deficit and you've just gone straight to maintenance. There can be a lot of past experiences that come into this place. And at the reality of it is like more food does not mean weight gain. It obviously the scale can fluctuate, but when we're looking at all of the pieces is like we start looking at food as like this not helpful thing when, or like this, we're not deserving of food unless we're earning it through more, right? Like it's like I need to do more, I need to do better, I need to do more cardio, I need to earn this food, or I'm really greedy if I'm adding in more food. And this is back to that mindset, right? Where it's how we are viewing food and how your relationship with food is too. Because at the end of the day, something I can tell you as someone who struggled, and now my maintenance calories are, we're over 3,000 calories right now, and maintaining and improving my physique. And it's really powerful when you step back and go, wow, we can really eat more food and maintain all of our progress. But not only that, like there's this better muscle tone. Your metabolism is so healthy and happy. Your hormones are so happy and healthy. Sleep is better, recovery is better, performance in the gym is at an all-time high. And if we continue to fear eating food, our body will adapt. It will stay stuck and we will stay in a body that we just don't love. And nobody wants that. That's not why we're here, right? It's like we want to build and grow. Now, another mindset piece, and this is probably the hardest part because we live in an Amazon Prime world, right? We live in this like quick instant gratification where, literally within a day or two, if you order something, you can usually get it pretty quickly. Food, you could Uber Eats, DoorDash, like I said, Amazon, you can usually get it. Sometimes you can get same day delivery, right? 2 days. I mean, you're not having to wait long. And then especially when we've been living in a deficit or we've been in that world where you are seeing the measurements go down, you're seeing the progress like in front of your eyes week to week, you can feel it. You're like, yes, I'm making that progress. It's like that lack of instant gratification with maintenance. It's just a different process, right? And we crave fast results, right? We love that. We all do. I don't care who you are. We love it. But at the end of the day, maintenance requires patience. Maintenance requires us to really step back and say, I have to play the long game, and it's not going to be instant gratification. It's not going to be this place where we need to do more. And sometimes that's what happens when we don't aren't seeing things, because when you look in the mirror, even day to day, I don't care if you're in a fat loss phase, you're not necessarily seeing the changes day to day, but every little bit stacks up. And maintenance is the same way. It's just different. And how we track that progress is going to be different than in a fat loss phase. But I also think like a fat loss phase, like we tend to feel like we need to do more. Like I need to push harder. I need to do oodles of cardio. I need to make sure that my food, I'm just, really nailing everything. And it can sometimes start to become more overwhelming because we're trying to think, I should be seeing the same things I've been seeing in a fat loss phase. and we have to shift, right? We have to pivot. And I also think that, like I said earlier, this like fat loss is very clear markers of success, right? Very clear. Like we're after a certain weight or we are after a certain look and our measurements are going down and we're seeing it, we're feeling it in our clothes. Like I said earlier, it's so much easier to see it. And so when we don't see it as quick in maintenance, we can sometimes feel like we're doing something wrong. And that can lead us to doing or shifting or again going back to what we said like a couple slides ago where it's like we almost feel like we need to go back into a deficit, right? We need to go back into that deficit. And like, are we really staying in a maintenance phase for long enough to reap the benefits? And so as we go through, learning to trust the process is absolutely key. It's key. And I always say this, but it's truly hard to understand the process if you've never been through it. So if you've never gone through a really beautiful, successful maintenance phase, then it's really hard to trust the process. It's really hard to be like, yeah, like this is amazing. We have to go through it. And we have to go through some of these mental obstacles and hoops to really push through. And this is probably my favorite because I think a lot of us who have dieted multiple times or been dieting for years and years and years and never going into that beautiful maintenance phase, it almost becomes your identity of like who you are. Like, ask yourself this question: who am I if I'm not dieting? Like, do I even know what living just normally looks like? And you may have lived in this like diet or identity for a really long time and maybe not even realized this was an identity, right? Like even me seeing this right now, I'd be like, I didn't even, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, like this is something that I have identified myself as. I'm a dieter. Like this is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I'm constantly doing, right? And this transition to maintenance can almost be this piece of saying like I'm losing a part of who I am. Because if I'm not dieting, then who am I? Who is that girl outside of a deficit? And it can lead us back to fear because, again, we're stepping into an uncertainty zone or maybe even a new identity that, like I said, you might not have even realized like this was a thing. And so when we are there, it's like we're not even sure who we are, how to define ourselves. And when I look at this, it's like, wow, we are in a place where we get to really shift you in so many beautiful places, like who you are, and taking this identity out of like, I'm not a, I'm not just a dieter. Like I am so much more than that. And I get to live a really beautiful life outside of a deficit. And here's the reality of maintenance, right? I truly, like I said earlier, I really believe maintenance is so much of mindset work. It is this place where we step back and say, like, I have to lean into the hard to really reap the benefits of what I want, right? And even when we're thinking about some of these pieces, it's like if we look here, it's like shifting our mindset. Maintenance is an active choice, right? It's a decision. It's actually devotion to yourself, right? This, like, I am going to do this for me because this is the phase where your body truly transforms. A deficit is going to chisel away at everything, but whatever's underneath is what we've built, right? And we can't build, like, think of like, even a building. You can go take a wrecking ball to a building, it'll smash down in seconds, right? But to rebuild that up by yourself is going to take lots of work, practice, time, energy, brick by brick, putting things back together. And building muscle takes time. And building that muscle and having it be in an optimal place to build and grow, and that maintenance is where it happens. And so it is devotion to your body. It is this beautiful space. And two, constant dieting is going to keep you stuck. The physique you want isn't going to be built in a deficit. It's going to help you get leaner, but it's not going to help you build the shape you want. And I see ladies get stuck in this where they'll go into maintenance for like a month, maybe 2 months. And all of a sudden it's like, I'm on a diet again. And it's like, we haven't even scratched the surface of what we can do and build here. We can always go back into a deficit, but this is truly where we can build the most beautiful physique ever. So you're probably like, okay, Sierra, what are we going to do about this, right? Like, how can I start embracing maintenance, right? How do we embrace it? And I'm going to share some very actionable tools and strategies. And it's always about taking that moment to remind yourself if this is something that you haven't done, take a moment to give yourself, I always call it a little bit of grit and a little bit of grace. Grit, we're pushing through the obstacles, right? There's going to be obstacles when maybe this is a struggle. And we get grit. We have to push, we have to challenge ourselves, we have to challenge our mind. But then there's grace. And a lot of times grace, people are like, well, I give up, or it's okay. I can just completely stop. And what grace really is flexibility, adaptability, understanding, patience. And I truly believe maintenance takes both grit and grace. I mean, almost any phase will take grit and grace, but especially maintenance, because I feel like we can be a lot grittier in a deficit because, like I said, very clear markers. But maintenance can be that place where we're like, "Mm, it's kind of this iffy zone." So let's get to some actionable things. Now, I like to reframe maintenance because sometimes, like we said earlier, maintenance can equal stagnation. What I like to call maintenance is momentum, because everything I do during a maintenance phase is building the physique that I want. And here's the thing, we can always go back into a deficit and lean out and maintain at a leaner physique. And so to do that, though, to build a better shape, to get to a leaner physique, I need to build. And everything we do during that phase is going to be so powerful. Something I love to say is if we never properly spend time in maintenance in this momentum phase, we either lose what we made or we lose the opportunity to improve on our physique. And so staying in a deficit is actually just keeping us stuck. And so I love, love, love saying it as momentum. Like, I am in a momentum phase. It is building me and pushing me forward. Another reframe is maintenance is where my body thrives, right? This is where I get a chance to spend time, not just like for me, but like for me, but like my strength is going to build, my performance, my recovery, my metabolism. And not only my metabolism, but like outside of my metabolism, my hormones, my whole body is just in a very optimal state. I am in a place where my life is improving because I'm not like feeling low energy. My mood's not low. I don't care who you are, even if you're doing it really well and you're feeling pretty good. When you get out of a deficit, you're like, wow, I didn't realize I was feeling so tired or low energy. Or I was getting snappy. Like I thought I was handling things so beautifully. But this is where your body is going to thrive. Not just your body, but you in your life, right? Like all the other things you have going on outside of fitness and nutrition, you are going to thrive. And so reminding yourself, like, this is so powerful, and maintenance still has a goal. We can focus on strength, performance, recovery, building muscle. And at the end of the day, we can start shifting our brain to saying, like, I have to do maintenance, to like, I get to fuel my body. Like, I have to eat more. No, I get to fuel my body. I get to really start building my physique here. This is the magic sauce, right? This is it. And so actionable steps, things that we can actually start doing and stopping to smell the roses a little bit, right? What excites you about maintenance, right? What excites you about this phase? What are some of these non-scale victories? What would they feel like? What would they look like? What would determine my success in maintenance, right? Because we know we're going to have to shift from like losing centimeters and it being so rapid and quick and the scale going down to what are these new markers that I'm going to look for? And we'll go into that in a second. Um, Shift the focus from I'm not losing to what am I gaining? What am I gaining from my life? What am I gaining in like outside of, like I said, fitness and nutrition? And how does maintenance add value to your life? And I also said this is like a beautiful opportunity to check in with like, what are your values and standards for living a fit, fierce, healthy, lovely, beautiful life? Because that's what's going to help us continue to be in maintenance and maintain everything too. And then if we want to redefine, like I was saying earlier, like, what does success kind of look like? What are those non-scale victories? Because that's where we're going to focus. It's not going to be the scale. We want to look outside it, right? It's redefining that success beyond it. So it's like, are we in that place where we can track? Are we tracking our workouts? Well, 100%. We should be. And we should be able to start seeing like your strength, your endurance, your recovery. Like, are you lifting heavier? Are you running faster? Are you recovering better where you wake up and you're like, I feel amazing, right? There's nothing better when you are feeling strong and powerful in the gym and you're recovering and you can just go hard the next day. We can start looking at, different things we can track biofeedback. How is your energy? How is your digestion? How is your sleep? How is your mood? We should see all of these things improving and staying improved. Like, of course, we're all going to have like harder days and things like that, but we should see this like constant uptick of like, I just feel incredible. Now, here's my favorite, tracking your body composition. Are we noticing more muscle definition? Are your clothes starting to notice they're like, even though like fitting still well, are you notice like, hey, my arms in this shirt are really popping, or oh my gosh, my waist is like leaning out, or I can actually see like more muscle definition in my body. And it's without losing weight, right? We're maintaining and building. So this one will take a little bit more time, but this is why, and I'll say this later, still track your progress, still take progress photos because, yeah, it might not week to week see these huge shifts, but after so many weeks and months, you're going to start being like, oh my gosh, I can really see the difference. And then lifestyle wins. Oh my gosh, these are sometimes the best, like stress-free eating, food freedom, more sustainability, a better relationship with food, even like being just in a comfortable place with like learning how to maintain your progress and not have to keep like being like, oh my gosh, I gained, so I need to go back into a deficit. It's like, no, I can actually stay here, maintain, live a really beautiful life, and continue to make progress on my physique, which is probably the most beautiful. So, actionable steps, still track your progress. Take your progress photos. Make sure you are tracking progress in the gym and really push here in the gym. Your energy levels, track them, your measurements, especially areas you're trying to grow. Like I know a lot of ladies are like, let's grow some glutes. And measure those areas, right? Measure the areas that you're like, I want to see progress here. I'm going to measure my glutes. And if my glute measurement's going up, that's not a bad thing, right? I want to build there. I want to see my muscle. It's not going to get smaller, right? If we're trying to make our glutes bigger, they're not going to get smaller. So it's like taking those measurements that are going to be like, check, that's a win. And I also love creating like a little bit of a maintenance checklist, like rate your energy levels, your workouts, your sleep, mood, hunger, confidence, and just start like taking a moment to track things outside of the scale that you're like, and it could be like food freedom. It could be like, am I actually maintaining here? What am I doing? Like, how am I feeling? This is such an incredible way to really, really keep your mind, because this is direction, right? When we say it feels stagnant and directionless, it's like, no, no. There are so many beautiful pieces we can take here and build off of. And all of these are huge non-scale victories. You can't see any of this on the scale, but man, like, I don't care who you are, you add 5 more pounds to your, deadlift or your squat your hip thrust, even your lateral raises. You're like, oh my gosh, I've been stuck at this weight. I finally can progress. It's the best. And sleep, sometimes I hear the best thing is like, I can't believe I'm sleeping so well. And then when you sleep well, you feel better. And it just has all these ripple effects into your life. All right. This goes back to kind of what I was saying. It's tied. It's all tied. But set goals, right? Set some beautiful goals outside of the scale because we had that goal. We hit our dream body goal. Or maybe you're like, hey, I needed to get out of a deficit, but I'm going to go back later and hit that goal. This is the time to continue. Like I said, really start choosing a couple of goals to focus on. I love during this time because you're feeling so great to set some like goals in the gym. So it could be like a strength-based goal, increasing your deadlift, squat, overhead press. I kind of just said that. Or it could be like, I really want to do a body weight pull-up, or I really want to learn how to do a pistol squat, or I want to start doing some Olympic lifting, or maybe I want to, really nail the form on this one exercise or start playing around with some different things. This is where we can start saying like, you know what? I want to add a little bit of running or cardio. I want to do a 5K, or maybe I want to start thinking about contest prep, or maybe there's something that you've maybe thought about and put on the table that it's like, take a moment to take in some of those like delusional goals that maybe you have. And it's like, what can we do to build up to that? What's like a measurable goal? And it could even be like, I want to add more sleep to my day. How can I do that? It can be setting these little goals in maintenance that can help really drive that focus, right? If I'm trying to build my glutes, you bet you I am going to hip thrust and make sure I am progressively overloading not just on my hip thrust, but every single leg exercise that I'm doing. It's like, let's train the house down. And so that logging and watching is going to keep you in such a momentum, right? We said maintenance is momentum. You're going to be able to push yourself to the next level, and it's going to just continue to build your physique because, right, I'm fueling my body like the food you're eating, the workouts you're doing, the recovery you're getting is just fueling your body to the most optimal place to sculpt and shape your physique without dropping your calories, right? Which is the best, which is the best. And then a lot of times, like I said earlier, we said like food is scary. Eating more feels like almost like a bad thing or a greedy thing or something we shouldn't be doing. And I want you to reframe food as fuel. And I know sometimes there's that like, oh, it's so much more. And it is, right? This is where your life should be a part of it. More food equals better performance, better recovery, better optimization of those nutrients and absorption. So you're getting a better body composition over time. And if we're truly maintaining your body, things are only going to get better, right? If we're stopping our habits. And something I see a lot of times is when we go into a deficit, we treat a deficit with this intensity and intention, right? It's direction, it's got clear goal. And then we get into maintenance and like we let our habits slip. We let some of those pieces go. And if we step back, it's like, no, we want to treat maintenance with the same intention and intensity we did a deficit. We want to treat it as this beautiful place to thrive. And, eating at maintenance is also going to help maintain our muscle, mass. And we won't lose our muscle, but it also will help your metabolism just be in a happy place, your hormones be in a happy place. Because anytime we're in a deficit, your hormones, I don't care even if it's temporary, because it should be, unless we're chronically dieting, hormones should be happy. Your body's going to be happy. You're going to feel happy. And then if we are truly eating at maintenance, we're not going to be just seeing the scale pop up and up and up. And usually what what happens is sometimes when we go into maintenance, maybe we stop tracking. Maybe we stop being as diligent with our habits. Maybe our habits shift. And so it's like, what were the habits I did during my fat loss phase that set me up for success? How can I keep those habits? where I don't just like let them go, right? I keep the same habits and then I'm adding more of my life into it. And so that's the biggest thing is like stay intentional. Stay really in those pieces of like, what were the habits that got me here? Because the habits that got you here are going to be the habits that keep you in maintenance. And if your habits aren't in alignment with your goals, and if your goals to maintain, but we're just kind of being like, and we get a little loose on what we're doing, that's where we can start seeing like a little trickle up of the weight. And it just sometimes it can be like a little bit and a little bit. And then all the little bits over a course of time start adding up. And that's when we're like, all of a sudden, I'm like 15 pounds up on the scale. And it's like, no, if we're really intentional with our habits, our macros, our training, our nutrition, all of the pieces, you can maintain everything and not lose your progress. And then we can make it better, right? We truly can make your physique even better. So, actionable steps. Here, if you want to just continue, I would make a list of like, what are the things that I did during the deficit that I'm going to carry over into my maintenance phase? What are the tools, strategies? What are the actionable things that I did, like food prepping, meal prepping, taking walks, getting my lifts in, sleeping, tracking my food? There could be lots of other pieces, but write down those lists and have it somewhere where you're like, these are my non-negotiables. These are the habits. These are the things that I'm going to do for the life I want. Because it's not like, okay, I'm just going to go slip back into old habits. It's like, nope, we're going to stay with our habits. And of course, we have a little bit more flexibility. We have a little bit more life, but it doesn't mean we just like step off the gas pedal, right? We want to keep it going, keep it going. And then self-trust, right? I think this is the biggest one where when we haven't spent a lot of time in maintenance, we don't really trust ourselves to maintain. So it's like, this is such a beautiful challenge to prove to yourself that you can maintain your results. And consistency builds trust. And how do we build trust, right? By how we show up and doing what we say we're going to do. And that builds to like confidence, awareness, all self-love. Like I could go off. I'll stay right here in maintenance phase, but consistency with your habits is going to build trust. So it literally goes back to what we were talking about, like be intentional, be really focused on like, this is what I'm going to do to succeed and be super successful. And I'm going to keep my habits in check and be really intentional about maintenance and not treat it like it's like a blah phase. It's like, no, this is our momentum phase because everything we build here is setting us up for a future self that we're wanting to create. And so I love to set like mini challenges, even for myself. It's like set like a 4 to 6 week maintenance challenge, right? Where you can track consistently and like really track like some pieces. Like maybe it's like, I'm going to really consistently track progress in the gym, right? I'm going to really track how my hip thrust goes or my deadlift or my squat, or I'm going to really track my energy and how I'm feeling. And I really want to just celebrate all of these things too, because what gets celebrated gets repeated, right? And sometimes we love to do the beat down session, but it's been proven time and time again, a beat down actually doesn't help you improve. The things that do are like celebrating the small wins, celebrating your consistency, celebrating your habits. Like I am still food prepping every Sunday, right? Or I'm celebrating my PRs in the gym. I'm celebrating my strength. I'm celebrating my progress pictures when I'm like, or I'm celebrating that I am actually maintaining my results. I can actually do this. And what that does is just, again, has a ripple effect of realizing like, wow, I truly can do maintenance. I can really do this phase, do it really beautifully, and build self-trust and confidence within myself to then continue building your physique. I keep saying that, but it's real. Set up a long-term plan too. Now, if you're somebody who's like, I'm not quite where I want to be yet, here's the cool part. Set up a long-term plan where you're like, okay, I'm going to spend this amount of time in maintenance. And I always say the longer, the better. Like I said, 1, 2, 3 months, it's not enough time to really solidify you in maintenance, to solidify your habits in maintenance. And I want you to step back and say, spend time here. I personally, and everybody's going to say something different, a year in maintenance is going to be your very best friend, because what it will do is ever so slowly, you're going to really see your physique change, and you're going to be able to build some beautiful muscle, because muscle takes time, right? It doesn't take just even a year. It's going to take years and years and years to build the muscle that you might want. And so spending more time there is going to get you quicker than if you do like 3 months and then you diet, and then you basically reverse, and then you spend a little bit of time and then you diet. Again, we're just trying to, we keep breaking down our body. We keep smashing it with that, like go back to that wrecking ball, we keep smashing it, and then we're having to try to rebuild it. And we don't even get that whole wall built, and we're smashing it back down. So it's like, take the time, because what will happen is, girl, a deficit phase is always there for you. Always, always, always. Know that there's going to be a deficit down the road anytime you want. And the cool part is if we do a deficit, right? Or if we do a good, really beautiful maintenance phase, we build some muscle. We maintain all of our progress, right? From our last deficit, we maintain it. Now, what we can do is we can actually go back into a deficit and get even leaner, show off more of that muscle tone, and feel really amazing. And then learn to maintain your body at even a lower body fat percentage, a leaner self. And so we're spending this time so that we can also get to that goal physique, and then you can maintain at that leaner physique for a longer period of time. How beautiful is that, right? Where we're not just like, well, this is it. This is where I'm stuck. It's like, no, build out a plan where you're like, okay, I'm going to spend a deficit from now until a year. Or I think I said a deficit, but I meant maintenance. I'm going to spend at maintenance for like a year. And then what I'm going to do is I'm planning in my next deficit, and maybe you're planning around vacations or life or what you have going on. And then it's like, then you can go into that deficit. That deficit's going to be way more effective. You're going to really get to see the benefit of what you did in maintenance because you spent actual time there. And then you are going to be able to maintain that leaner body and feel freaking amazing in your skin. So map out that game plan. And it can be like, you just write out like, here is my like year, 2-year plan. And I know that can sound like, wow, that's a long time away. But then also, doesn't that help if you know, hey, I'm going to do a deficit like next March, right? Or May or whatever, June, whatever the date. Now you're like, okay, I have a very strategic goal that I'm going to focus on this whole maintenance phase and period. It's like, let's go. Because that next deficit, I want to see everything I built. And so it just, again, builds a direction. It builds like where you are, what you're doing, why you're doing it. And now you're setting yourself up for the most gorgeous physique while maintaining your results, improving on it. And then we can go and get really like lean and shredded. So creating a long-term plan is beautiful. Now, I know that we struggle. We are really, really good at dieting. We don't have a dieting problem. I think most women can lose the fat. They really can. I think the biggest thing that we see as coaches, and I think the biggest thing we see around the world, is that we just struggle actually maintaining the progress, right? We get the result and then we don't always maintain that result. And that is the true struggle. And what I see most women do is like, this is the place where we're like, oh, maintenance is easy, right? And it feels like it should be. But again, when was the last time you were in maintenance for a long period of time? And when was the last time you felt like you did maintenance really beautifully? Those would be the questions I would ask, because we notice there's more of a maintaining problem. And the solution isn't more dieting. The solution is to learn how to be at maintenance, right? And so reframing our mindset, I know I had some reframes earlier, but this is like some other mindset around maintenance. It's like, I'm stuck to I'm fueling my best body, right? I'm not making progress to I'm building the strongest, sexiest, healthiest self. I have no goal, I am stagnant, to I am in momentum to build my ultimate physique and can lean on building my performance, my confidence, and stability with life in my body. Like I said, maintenance is this beautiful place, and it's actually this really essential part of our journeys. If we don't ever go through it, you're always going to be stuck in a body that you don't love because you're never going to give it the time. And like just think of a seed. It needs time and water and food and sunlight, recovery to grow. And we need to give your body the same space and time to grow, or you're going to be constantly stuck. And nobody wants to be stuck in a body that they don't love. And especially when you are going to the gym and you are really tracking your macros and you're doing all these pieces and you're like, I just don't know why my body's not changing. Look at your maintenance phase. Always, always, always. And so, last things, I'm going to wrap up here. Like I said, maintenance should feel like the easiest part, right? It seems so simple. Like you eat more food, you feel better, easy. But a lot of times in reality, this is where we just haven't spent time here and we don't know how to navigate it on our own. And this is, like I said, a lot of people will drop their coach during maintenance because they're like, psh, maintenance is the easy part. And yet they've never maintained their progress. And they don't have even maybe some accountability to say, like, oh my gosh, I need to keep this. So I have somebody watching me and my habits. I have somebody checking me, because sometimes you're like, I'm doing all the things. And then we start to see things that might slip or change. And it's not just about keeping your results, right? It's about building on them. Like I said earlier, we either lose what we made or we lose the opportunity to improve on our physique if we don't spend time in maintenance. And I know that's why we're all here, right? We want to build these beautiful bodies that we just love. So when it comes back to it, it's like constantly going back into a deficit and not spending time in maintenance, we're just going to keep staying stuck. And so a lot of times, if we just can maintain and refine and improve and be in that space, we're going to be able to continue moving forward without having to be a deficit, and your body will change. It will. We just have to give it space and time. And that's why, like we said, tracking your progress, all of those pieces is essential. Now, mindset, again, like I said earlier, is key. So make sure you remind yourself progress and maintenance isn't just about shrinking, but it's about building and thriving. And so we're not in that mode anymore of shrinking. And I'm not saying your measurements can't like continue to chip in maintenance, but there's that place where it's like, we are trying to build and thrive here. Why are we looking to shrink and make ourselves smaller when we are going to be these beautiful, strong, powerful women? And then my last point, maintenance is where you are truly going to sculpt your body. A deficit, that's always a place where you're going to chisel away at the fat, but it can chisel away at your muscle mass too. So if we spend too long there, your body will pull from your muscle mass. Nobody wants that, even if we've got the protein and everything equated. So maintenance is where we can truly sculpt, shape, and solidify long-term progress. And I promise you, this is where you're going to thrive. And maintenance is our like secret weapon. It's the secret weapon for sculpting your physique. And at the end of the day, this is what we want to embrace and say, I'm going to commit to a really beautiful maintenance phase, spend time here, really maintain my results, improve on those results. And then I can always go back into a deficit if I want to chip away later. But this is where you're going to build, girl. And I promise you, if you can spend some time here at maintenance, this is where you are truly going to thrive and you're truly going to see the body of your goals. Anyhow, I hope this was helpful. And let's spend some time at maintenance, ladies. I promise it's the best phase. Once you're there, you'll never want to leave. But Again, I'm Coach Sierra, and I will chat with you soon. Have a really beautiful day.